Alex may have a clause in his UFC 300 contract stating that if he beats Jamal and comes out healthy, he will fight at UFC 300 and won in Brazil. Josh Thompson, on the Weighing In podcast, said, "I also heard that if what's-his-name gets out of the Jamal, the 300 he wants to be on that card." Alex Bea, apparently that was part of his contract negotiation. If he gets the win and comes out healthy, that he's allowed to fight on that card. That was part of, I guess, apparently his agreement to fighting on UFC 300. Colby Covington gives his take on the Colby Covington, Repes Nate Diaz, and Jorge Masvidal upcoming boxing match between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. Colby also gives his thoughts on the recent beef between Jorge and Chael Sonnen. Colby said, "I mean, just two complete washouts of the UFC that are 40 years old should be in retirement homes. They're going to go out. They're these sloppy old dudes, like they can't perform in the UFC no more at this high elite level like me, and at the top of the division. They both got 10 seconds of fame in the UFC, living off these fights from 10 years ago, so let them go do their thing. I mean, if the UFC is signing off on it, I'm all about whatever the UFC signs off on. I could care less about George. He needs to stop talking to my big brother though, man. Guys, that's the real fight. Like, why is he talking to Chet? Everybody's calling. What I did to George was the easiest fight of my life. I smacked that little scrub around and played with him. He's my little brother. I mean, imagine my big brother Uncle Che, the wrestling gangster, the biggest biceps in the martial arts industry. Like, imagine if you got a hold of him, would squash George like a little." Colby Covington fires back at Ian Gary once again. Colby Covington fired back at Ian Gar, challenging him to an I Quit match. "Greetings, nerds and barons, it's America's champ, and as you can see, there's nothing behind me, just like I and Gary's resume. We all saw your cringy ass video, Ian, and though do what you're told line only works when you're the aside or Conor McGregor. Ian, you said a lot of dumb, but there is one thing that I'll agree with you on. Mo Wave definitely ain't no trophy. Lee's not a trophy, she's a participation award at best, which is fitting for you and your generation. You don't dictate the terms here, you're a Gen Z beta, and the only time you do any dictating is when you're on your knees. For the nutritionist, you're asking for gimmicks you don't even comprehend. Junior, an I Quit match implies there's no disqualification and no time limit. No commission would ever approve that, and besides, we already saw you quit in December before the press conference. You want to talk about what I'm famous for, and my title fight's the only thing you're famous for is parading around a nutritionist sloppy seconds like she's Miss Universe. She's a 4 at best. We all know you love to it up, but you're about to weigh out of this fight, Junior, so here it is one last time. Agreed to the stipulation. Stipulation number 1, turn on the comments. Stipulation number 2, record Lee ban. Stipulation number 3, agree to the MyBookie promo, and we got to fight. Otherwise, I'm fighting somewhat higher rank this summer, and you're doing what you do best, sitting there and watching all the Ian Gary's wife Layla lists lies about them. Action. Speaking of Ian Gary, Ian's wife Lee posted a video today listing 3 apparent lies spread about them. It's 4 minutes long, so not playing all that to quickly sum it up. Leela said that Ian never took her ex-husband's last name. She says Masato is her maiden name. She says that her ex-husband does not live with them and never has, and she says that Ian is not a John Jones. Had words. John Jones taunts Tom Aspinall for Tom Aspin. John posted this to his Instagram. He wrote to in the Arnold in, "We disclose more when we file with the court in 45 to 60 days. We love all of these guys." The UFC released a statement via Kevin Iole. It says, "We are pleased to have reached an agreement to settle all claims asserted in both the Lee and Johnson class action lawsuits, bringing litigation to a close and benefiting all parties. The final terms of the settlement will be submitted to the court of approval." Here's some reactions to the news. Tommy Toole says, "Fighters just settled with the UFC. The antitrust suit is dead. $335 million to the fighters, but make no mistake, this was a massive victory for the UFC." Luke Thomas says this settlement is bad news for Pelflin. One, without regulatory intervention in the MMA industry, there's no chance for them or anyone else of international scale to compete. It's flatly not possible. How long they last is hard to say, but long-term prognosis is grim. Anatomy of a Fighter reposted that and wrote this. He followed up saying they should have got $1 billion. Thomas also posted this. It says that unless there's an ally act or union. In Nema's future, both exceedingly unlikely fighter pay will remain where it is. Mayhem Miller replied, disheartening, and Brennan Schaub says huge. Victory for the UFC. Not sure what overall goal was for the fighters, at least it's something, but appears nothing will change moving forward. Here's Ariel Helwani's reaction on the MMA Hour and as is Damon wrote in this great article. This is a story that dates back to 2014 now. Initially, when I heard the numbers that they were trying to, in terms of a dollar amount, to earn from all of this was much higher than 335. I'll be honest, when I first saw this news come out, I was a little bit underwhelmed by that number. Nevertheless, that is going to be dispersed and divided among the fighters that fall under the umbrella of the time period that this class action lawsuit is overseeing, and it's not like a perfect pie. It's based on a multitude of factors, and again, I don't feel like I'm the smartest person in the room to explain that, but this is what was explained to me. What is also very significant is as I noted above, this will be tax deductible for TKO. That's tremendous. Also, it does not appear, based on what we are seeing thus far, that this will change, and maybe I will prove to be wrong, and we'll learn more, as they noted in the MMA statement, in the next 45 to 60 days. We'll learn more, but it does not appear as of now, based on the conversations that I've had, that the business practices of the UFC are going to change as a result. What do you guys think of this? Do you think it's a win for the UFC? Post your opinions in the comments, and that's going to wrap it up. Top comments for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Yeah6969 says, all I can say is keep that dog away from Izzy. The second one's from Big Juice 5821 says, train Lake Strickland by day, bipolar by night, all day. And the final one's from Matt, says, good to see Mark walking around and getting a new dog. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below, and if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught